and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to write a perfect literature review in just 1 hour. So have you ever struggled while trying to write a literature review? Perhaps you spend a lot of time and once you read what you've written, it just doesn't make sense. Or you probably just, you keep writing and you just cannot get to the required number of words. Well, the problem is there's a strategy and there's an algorithm for writing a good literature review. And I'm going to show you exactly that. Now, let's start. There's a mistake that a lot of people make, and the mistake is they just get into writing. Now, with literature review, you cannot just do that. You've got a plan. And your plan is in 3 parts. First of all, you start writing your literature review with the pre-writing part. Secondly, you've got the writing part. And then thirdly, you've got a review, where you review what you've written. Now, the pre-writing part is when you do your search. Your literature search entails developing the right search terms or keywords, and you combine those search terms with the Boolean phrases such as and, or. These Boolean phrases combined with your search terms will make sure that you only find relevant literature in the databases when you put those search terms and the Boolean phrases in the databases. Example of database that you could use when doing medical writing is PubMed. You also have Scopus. You also, in addition to that, you have Cochrane. And there's a lot of databases out there. You probably speak with your librarian to see the other ones that exist. Now, during this pre-writing phase, you do your literature search. Once you've done your literature search, you pull all the relevant literature that you found and you put them in the citation tool. An example of citation tool is Mendeley. Another one is EndNote. For me, I use the Mendeley citation tool. It's my preferred way of writing and citing while I write. It makes your work a lot easier, and I'll cover all of that in another video. The second step, you move to the writing part of your literature review. During the writing part, you follow the Mego algorithm. This is a standardized way of writing literature review across board. Most of the literatures you will be reading, regardless of your field, would contain those 4 components, the Mego algorithm. And what are the 4 components? Now, the first one is magnitude of the problem, which goes into the first paragraph. And I must say this, a good literature review should have no more than 4 paragraphs. 4 paragraphs is succinct and precise enough to discuss everything you need to put out there in a literature review. Now, the magnitude of the problem should go into the first paragraph. The magnitude of the problem is where you describe, the significance of what you're writing about. For example, you might be doing a research on the association between gig workers or people that work in the gig economy and cardiovascular disease. In that case, if I was writing a literature review on this, my magnitude of the problem would discuss the rising number of people that work in the gig economy. I might give an estimate of the total number of people that work in the rideshare economy, such as the official number of people that work for Uber, for example, or any of the popular rideshare companies out there. And I will cite, the relevant articles that give me these figures or statistics. In addition to this, I might also discuss the rising number of people that have cardiovascular disease globally or in any given society which I might be focusing on. So once you've done this, you've actually articulated, that there is this huge problem of rising number of people with cardiovascular disease and complications. You've also articulated the fact that a lot of people are also getting involved in the gig economy. And then you might want to talk about, some of the relevant cardiovascular diseases that you want to focus on. You give an overview of, each of them. You probably want to talk about the coronary heart disease. You probably want to talk about, cardiac arrhythmias. you might want to talk about cerebrovascular disease, stroke, for example, etc. Now, from that, from doing that, you have actually sort of captured the attention of your readers, and they really want to see, what what your research will be all about. What angle you're tailoring your research, and that takes us to the second paragraph. The second paragraph should discuss in details all of the existing body of work. As someone in the past research, the association between the gig economy, for example, and a particular cardiovascular. Probably a previous author simply focused on stroke and did not, talk about other cardiovascular diseases such as coronary disease, heart attack, for example, or cardiac arrhythmia. You make that clear. You present the result of the previous authors. The whole essence of this is to sort of describe what's been out there, what other people have done, and that lays down the building block and the foundation for your own research. Then from there, you go to the third paragraph. The second paragraph sort of builds into the third paragraph. All of the paragraphs are interconnected. The first paragraph also connects with the second paragraph. And now, what do you do in the third paragraph? You talk about what has not been done. For example, no one in the past has researched the association between working in the gig economy and cardiovascular disease. Alternatively, you might say, only two authors, have researched the association between working in the gig economy and cardiovascular disease. And one of these authors only focused on cerebrovascular disease. None of them explored the association between working in the gig economy and cardiac arrhythmia, for example, or hypertension, for example. And then you go to the fourth paragraph. The fourth paragraph usually would contain your hypothesis. And then you'd also state your objective very clearly in the fourth paragraph. Now, you might say, we hypothesize that there will be an increased association between people working in the gig economy and cardiovascular disease. And then you sort of lay a foundation for your hypothesis and for your argument. You might want to say, people that work in the gig economy are much more likely to work from home. Hence, they are more sedentary. It is a higher incidence of sedentary lifestyle among those cohort of people. They're less likely, to ride a bicycle to work, or to, drive to work, or even to walk, so they are much more less active. You might say they exercise less. They are much likely to walk longer, and you might say they are also probably more likely, or less likely rather, to have health insurance, probably because they earn less, and then there's less incentive to see the general practitioner, etc. You sort of lay down your argument, and then you clearly state your objective in this section. You might state that our primary objective, is to explore the mechanism, or the pathway, that sort of links the association, that links gig economy to a higher incidence of cardiovascular disease. And then secondly, you might actually want to sort of explore other factors, that sort of accentuate or that works, alongside, the gig economy, and having a high incidence of cardiovascular disease. You make your objective clear. You state your primary objective and you state your secondary objective. So that's the whole essence of this. And finally, you want to wrap up by reviewing what you've written. And that is where the last component is. It's not part of the Mego algorithm, but it's something that you do have to do. You have to review, you have to dot your I's, you have to cross your T's, you have to make sure that you've cited all the relevant articles correctly, and you have to make sure that where you've paraphrased other people's work, you've actually put in the citation, where you've quoted other people's work, you've actually shown you've used the quotation mark correctly, and you've cited appropriately. You make sure that you're not plagiarizing in any way, and then you've read the article thoroughly. You've polished it. You've made sure that you're using the right sentence structure. You've made sure you're using the right tenses. You've made sure that your punctuation is very adequate and correct, and then that wraps up the process. Now, how should you divide your time? Now, you should spend no more than 1 hour in writing a good literature review. First and foremost, the magnitude of the problem, you should do that in 10 minutes. The existing body of work, you should describe that in another 10 minutes. That's 20 minutes. And then in 10 minutes, another 10 minutes should be allocated to describing the gaps in literature. And then the next 10 minutes should be allocated to writing up the objective of your study. And then the final, you spend 20 minutes reviewing your work, and that is 1 hour in total. And a good literature review can be written in just 1 hour. I've used this algorithm for my past articles and manuscripts, and a lot of my articles that I've written using this algorithm have also gone ahead to be published in peer-reviewed journal with good impact factor. So it's something that works for me, and it's something I would like you to try. And apart from that, I would also give you a task or an assignment. You should go ahead and look at the relevant journals in your profession or in your domain. Identify the articles in those journals. For example, if you work in medical research, you should go to BMJ journal, or you should go to the Nature Medicine or BMC Public Health, for example, or Lancet journal, and look at the articles that have been published recently, or even the older ones, and go through their literature review. You would and try to identify these 4 components in the literature. A lot of the articles would also be written in just about 4 paragraphs, and each paragraph will be allocated to doing each of these things that I've highlighted. So you use this algorithm, you write very quickly, you don't miss out on any of the relevant content, and you actually meet up with the universal requirement for writing a perfect and good literature, and everyone would understand what you write. So make sure you're using this algorithm the next time you write, and see how much your work improves. And thank you for listening. For more videos on how to conduct research, or how to be a productive public health practitioner, or just getting more knowledge as regards public health, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and you get notifications when I make more videos. Thanks for watching.